Donald Trump descending into madness on Air Force One as he descends into Washington, D.C. on an awful flight back from his taxpayer-funded vacation in Mar-a-Lago since Tuesday, as Donald Trump descends into D.C. while he mentally descends into madness. The crypto exchange is descending as well. You have Bitcoin crashing last night in a matter of 2 to 3 hours. Massive liquidation moves. Bitcoin fell below $86,000. Donald Trump, who's advertised himself as a crypto president, has been an absolute disaster for it. And there hadn't even been any significant news that you could account for these massive liquidation positions being taken. But we've seen these massive drops, and on those drops, we've seen the stock market futures down significant as well. While on Main Street, though, where the American people reside, people continue to live paycheck to paycheck, being psychologically tortured in this disastrous Trump economy. People can't afford their rent. People can't afford basically anything right now, when Donald Trump promised that he would make everything affordable on day one. But Donald Trump continues to pretend that everyone's living in a golden age and everything is far more affordable right now. So Donald Trump has his stooges, like his national economics advisor, Kevin Hassett, make his rounds on TV. And Kevin Hassett says, you know what? My turkey was cheaper. I bought two because I like generic brands, everybody. Here, play this clip.
President Trump gave us the best economy we had in 50 years in my entire lifetime in the first term. And then things kind of went south, and now he's trying to bring it back. And I think people think you can just snap your fingers and everything's going to be great. But one thing that has been great has been gas prices, the lowest in 4 years.
Yeah, there are a lot of states that are below $2 a gallon. You know, turkey prices were down 19 cents. I bought two different ones because some other show was criticizing me because I said, oh, generic turkeys are pretty good. So I made two this time, and I didn't really notice a difference. So buy the cheaper turkey next year, folks. But you can get the fancy one if you want to. But the bottom line is it's next year that really has us excited.
Yeah. And then Kevin Hassett also said, you know what? Gas is lower. Everything's lower. Prices are way lower. Stop gaslighting us, you con artists. Here, play this clip.
I'm wondering how much of that spending increase you think is attributable to the fact that prices are up. Let me give you an example. The maker of Tonka trucks said a couple days ago that a toy truck that cost $30 last year is going to cost $40 this year, partly because they lost about 8 weeks of shipping due to the U.S. trade war with China. What's your advice to holiday shoppers who don't want to spend more this year than they did last year or can't afford to spend more?
Right. Well, as you know, it depends on what you're looking at. Like egg prices are down, gasoline prices drop below $2 a gallon in a lot of places.
You mean
mortgage
below?
Rates are down.
Gas prices on average are still at $3 a gallon.
Yeah, that's right.
Country,
For
right?
a few states, they got below $2. And so the point is just that in the end, what matters is in the aggregate, the average across everything that everybody buys.
Now, while the American people are suffering, Donald Trump was posting the following yesterday. He goes, the presidential ballroom, which I am building at the White House with all private donations and funding, zero cost to the American taxpayer, will be at its completion the most beautiful and spectacular ballroom anywhere in the world. It is something that has been needed and desired at the White House for over 150 years, but something which no other president was equipped to do, but I am. And as long as we are going to do it, we are going to do it right. It will be a magnificent addition to the White House, the most important since the building of the West Wing. That's also Donald Trump there attacking the current architect, McCreary Architects, that Trump hired to build the Golden Ballroom because the architects don't want to make it bigger. But Donald Trump now wants to make it like 3 to 4 times the size of the White House. And the architects are like, what are you doing? And they were complicit to begin with, the architects. Now, there's not a single American who said, you know what I need right now? I need a Golden Ballroom. You know what I need right now? Make that ballroom even bigger. And it wasn't that no other president was equipped to do it. No other president even conceived of a concept of building a golden ballroom near the White House and ripping down the East Wing, while there were other pressing matters of the presidency to deal with. But yet, this is Donald Trump's focus right now. By the way, his other focus is part of the PPP, the Pedo Protection Program, covering up a child sex trafficking ring, and also continuing to grift off of his supporters and the taxpayers. Donald Trump sent this email out to his supporters. He said, "My FBI Director Kash Patel found what they tried to burn. But the truth is, on borrowed time, you need to read this memo now before they slam the door shut." So you may be thinking, if you're a Trump supporter, ooh, let me click on it and read the memo. Did they find the Epstein files? Well, you click on it and it says, "Should we expose lies and investigate everyone involved in Russia hoax against me?" And then Donald Trump asks you for $3,300. So while the American people are suffering, Donald Trump is asking for money. By the way, I showed another email that Donald Trump sent yesterday in a video I made earlier in the day yesterday, where Trump said, "Can you please make a personal sacrifice for me? I wouldn't be asking you right now unless I really needed it, but can you send me some money?" I kid you not, that was an actual email that Donald Trump sent. He said he was struggling and needed money from his supporters and he wouldn't be asking if he wasn't desperate. Donald Trump has made billions of dollars off the presidency while the American people suffer. And those are the types of emails that he is sending. And by the way, when Donald Trump goes, Russia, okay, you mean the Russian plan of surrender for Ukraine that your regime laundered and tried to force upon Zelensky to give up basically all of eastern Ukraine? Because Russia is happening before our very eyes. We've seen the transcripts between Witkoff and his Russian counterparts where they were talking about making Ukraine surrender and then divvying up the land. And then, of course, we've heard other reporting how it was always Russia's plan to basically bribe you off with hundreds of billions or trillions of dollars that they'd probably never give you either in exchange for betraying Ukraine and NATO, which you fell right into that trap. Oh, by the way, when I started this video talking about the descending Bitcoin, the crashing Bitcoin, you know who's Donald Trump's crypto czar? A guy by the name of Dave Sachs. And a New York Times expose on him that dropped this weekend explains how David Sachs has 708 tech investments that could be aided directly or indirectly by his policies, according to a New York Times analysis, causing Steve Bannon, a MAGA, to say the tech bros are out of control. Talking about out of control, let's go talk about Trump and his disastrous landing into Washington, D.C. aboard Air Force One. When he was asked about Governor Walz calling for Trump's MRI results to be released, Donald Trump says he has no idea what part of his body it was done on, but he says it wasn't the brain, which likely means it was his brain, and he says you could release it. Okay, well then release it. Let's see the MRI results. Let's see, I don't know, is it Alzheimer's? Is it dementia? What is it? Because it probably is in the brain, and you probably have what happened to your father, Fred, is probably what happened, because these things are genetic, and it seems that what Fred was going through, you're going through now. But I'm just giving my opinion after all, which is protected by the First Amendment. Here, play this clip right here.
It's like my phone call where I got impeached. It's absolutely perfect. So if you want to hear about it or if you want to release it, you want to have it released. News Nation, failing News Nation. News Nation is doing lousy, by the way. But if you want to have it released, I'll release it.
Tell us what they were looking at.
For what, releasing?
No. What part of your body was the MRI looking
I
at?
have no idea. It was just an MRI. What part of the body? It wasn't the brain because I took a cognitive test and I aced it. I got a perfect mark, which you would be incapable of doing. Goodbye, everybody. You too.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Then Donald Trump is asked by a reporter, well, what is your view on the reporting that Pete Hegseth may have ordered the military to shoot and kill survivors on one of the fishing boats after an initial strike on the fishing boats. Let me be clear about my position right here from MeidasTouch. The entire operation was a war crime, not just the double tap or the double strike, but the double strike was certainly a war crime as well, making it worse. And I believe that Hegseth and everybody in the regime involved in that needs to go and be tried on war tribunals. But Trump goes, I don't know. I don't know anything about it. Hegseth didn't tell me about it. Here, play this clip.
He said he did not say that, and I believe it.
You don't know if
You
there
think I read the two men?
the second strike.
He said he didn't do it. He said he never said it.
Would you be okay with that if he did?
He said he didn't do it, so I don't have to make that decision.
And Hegseth's response was to post the following photo, a classic Franklin story. Franklin targets narco-terrorists, and he's doing he thinks this is funny to show Franklin killing people on fishing boats. He thinks that's a humorous way to deal with this. I mean, Pete Hegseth is not just the least qualified ever to be heading the Department of Defense. He's so not qualified and mentally defective to be anywhere near that position. His pathology is that person should be the furthest away from that position. What a sicko. What a sicko he is. A reporter also asked Donald Trump about calling Governor Walz the R word and whether Trump stands behind it. And Trump's like, yeah, why? I shouldn't call him the R word? No, Donald, you shouldn't call him the R word because the R word is a very offensive word that frankly nobody should be using right now, especially the President of the United States, but nobody should be using it. And are you allowed to use it? You're allowed to use the word. There's no word police out there, but we can tell you that by using it, you're hurting people. We could make sure that you know by using it, we don't support it, and we can look down on people who use it, especially in a way to mock people with disabilities or just in any usage of it. But here's what Donald Trump says. Here, play this clip.
In that same post, you mentioned Tim Walz, and you called him what many Americans do find an offensive word, retarded. Do you stand by that claim of calling Tim Walz retarded?
Yeah, I think there's something wrong with him. Absolutely, sure.
But you don't
You have a problem with him? You know what? I think there's something wrong with him. Anybody that would do what he did, anybody that would allow those people into a state and pay billions of dollars out to Somalia. We give billions of dollars to Somalia. It's not even a country because it doesn't function like a country. It's got a name, but it doesn't function like a country. Yeah, there's something wrong with Walz.
And then a reporter asked Donald Trump, so I'm confused about this though, because you say you want to stop narco-terrorists, right? And you say that the reason you're considering invading Venezuela is because you say Maduro is a narco-terrorist. But then you're posting on social media that you're pardoning Juan Orlando Hernandez, the former president of Honduras, who was charged and tried in federal court in the United States and sentenced to 45 years for being the biggest narco-terrorist there is and helping El Chapo Sinaloa cartel kill countless Americans. So you want to pardon the main drug trafficker in Juan Hernandez? Can you try to explain that and make that make sense? Here, play this clip right here.
Mr. You've made so clear how you want to keep drugs out of the U.S.
Right.
Can you explain more about why you would pardon a notorious drug trafficker?
Well, I don't know who you're talking about. Which
Juan
one?
Orlando Hernandez.
Well, I was asked by Honduras, many of the people of Honduras, they said it was a Biden setup. Not only Biden, but Biden didn't know he was alive, but it was the people that surround the Resolute desk, surround Biden when he was there, which was about very little time. And the people of Honduras really thought he was set up, that it was a terrible thing. He was the president of the country. And they basically said he was a drug dealer because he was the president of the country. And they said it was a Biden administration setup. And I looked at the facts and I agreed with them.
What evidence did you share that he was set up and that he wasn't?
When you take a look, I mean, they could say that you take any country you want. If somebody sells drugs in that country, that doesn't mean you arrest the president and put him in jail for the rest of his life. That includes this country, okay? To be honest, I mean, if somebody does something wrong, you put the president of the country in jail. They said it was a Biden setup. It was a Biden administration setup. And you have a big race going on this week, next week. I think it's going to be a very important race. It'll be interesting to see Honduras. That's what you're talking about, right?
Correct, yes.
Yes.
Now, I'll also mention, as I talked about before, there was the meet. I'll do a whole other video on this. A meeting in Miami between Ukraine's delegation and Witkoff, Marco Rubio, and Jared Kushner. It took place at like a Miami country club. And the Ukrainians were there holding their ground. You could see Witkoff's face just looking like he wasn't expecting the Ukrainians to show up there and catch him. And I'm sure Witkoff is thinking to himself, if they have that audio recording of me and the Russians, what else do they have on me? They have everything on you, Witkoff. The intelligence services that gather that information, whether it was Ukrainian origin or European origin or another foreign intelligence, they have all your stuff. They know what you're doing. They know what you've been saying all the time. They have all of it. They have your calls and your messages. They've got it. Maybe that's why y'all shouldn't be making your communications on just in general. You shouldn't be engaged in this behavior, but yeah, people are able to see what you're doing, guys. I promise you they are. And then finally, I'll just leave you with this because this regime is so despicable in every single way. But one of the tactics that they have right now is they're sending ICE agents to go after the spouse who's getting ready to marry an American citizen. So on the final meetings where a spouse is about to become a citizen, that's when ICE snatches them, separates the couple, and deports the spouse. And one of the other tactics that ICE is doing, they're waiting at courthouses for victims of sexual assault. And then they target the victims of sexual assault who are there to report, come in very vulnerable, to come in to report that they're victims of sexual assault. I'll show you an example of what just went down in Riverside, California, where a victim of sexual assault was further victimized by ICE and Border Patrol. It's so disgusting. Here, play this clip.
I got it in my hair.
He's harassing and assaulting.
Bro, why you grabbing her so fucking tight? You're a big ass fucking man. You can't hold her.
She's a victim of sexual assault, and you're arresting her and doing that for her.
Fucking piece of shit, dude. What a piece of shit, dog.
Well, there you have it, folks. Let me know what you think. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 6 million. Thank you so much for watching. Hey, Midas Mighty, it's Ben, Brett, and Jordy, and we just want to thank you for being the backbone of this movement.
This year tested us more than ever, but together we proved that pro-democracy voices don't just compete, we win.
We took on the entire MAGA machine, won a Webby for Podcast of the Year,
the MeidasTouch podcast,
and you were with us every step of the way.
And trust us, what we're working on next is bigger, bolder, and built for 2026.
Let's keep this momentum going, spread the word, we are just getting started.
Shout out to the Midas Mighty!